Okay, Shalom. Now I'm gonna show you the cat flap in the Argos catalog. It says here option 1, pet safe. Option 1, pet safe, pet port smart flap microchip. Is operated by cats exiting them. The microchip helps prevent intruding cats. Okay, so it just says suitable for most common microchips. Alright, so that's microchips that are already in collars and in implanted animals as well. This is the Argos catalog, autumn winter 2015. I'd say it's been around since 2012. Okay, I'm going to continue with this article. It says here that there are a number of cases where animals have died after being microchipped. Where is it? Down here. Yeah, in the same year, a Chihuahua named Charlie Brown died within hours of being chipped. The dog died from an extreme amount of bleeding from the hole in the skin where the microchip was implanted with the needle. Okay, because when the needle goes in, it's because of the size of the needle and what's being implied, it's more or less gonna, it's more or less gonna damage nerves and muscle tissue. It's not like a normal doctor's syringe, the tiny one. So it says here the owner, Laurie Ginsberg, said at the time she was in favour of getting the dog chip, she said she wasn't in favour of getting the dog chip, but it was the law. And this technology is supposed to be so great until it's your animal that dies. So, she folded because she said it was the law. Yeah, in time of Jacob's trouble, that's what's gonna happen as well. A lot of Jake gonna fold because they're gonna say, oh, I can't pay off these sanctions or whatever. Because £500 fine is, nowadays kind of a lot of money, because with the quantitative easing and the way the pound is losing its value, so people aren't going to want to pay that, so they're just going to fold, so in Jacob's trouble, they're like, I might as well just get it, so I can just, they stop hassling you, It says here, in October 2010, a lawsuit was filed in the US by Andrea Rutherford against Merck, Sharp and Dome and Digital Angel because her cat developed cancer at the site of his chip as well. Okay. Skip down here. It says microchipping a dog costs between £10 and £30. Many charities and animal shelters offer the service for free. We'll jump back to that scripture again, Proverbs chapter 12 verse 10. A righteous man regardeth the life of his beast, and the tender mercies of the wicked are cruel. And the tender mercies is the dog being chipped for free. Charities and animal shelters offering the service for free. Because it's wickedness, just like Microsoft 10. That all the Microsoft before that were you had to pay for. Microsoft 10 came out and you could download that for free. Come to find out that it was mainly it was a better software for Microsoft and Google to track your movements and what you do with your computer. We'll continue. Okay, this is the last article here. This is by Sydney Morning Herald. It says here, human microchipping, I've got you under my skin. This is April 17th of 2014. Image here is of Professor Kevin Warwick and his cybernetic arm. So we'll go into it in a little bit. It says here, thousands of technology enthusiasts use it as the ultimate app, enabling them to to lock and unlock their homes, cars, computers and mobile phones with a simple wave of the hand. There is a catch. They must have a microchip inserted into their bodies. Now, top there it said hands, but at the end there it said bodies. It shows it doesn't matter where it is on your body that the microchip is implanted. Okay? If you have it in your body, regardless of where it is, you understand, you've still placed your allegiance. Alright? So that's your part in the lake of fire, basically. So see, the idea may seem weird and painful, but human microchipping appears to appeal not only to amateurs who call themselves biohackers, also to governments, police forces, medical authorities and security companies. No surprise there. It involves using a hypodermic needle to inject an RFID radio frequency identification microchip the size of a grain of rice, usually into the person's hand or wrist, right? Which means it can be anywhere in the body. The same kind of chip is used for tracking lost pets, right? So, you know, that should you know, give you something to marinate in your brain about. Okay, because if they're using it on the pets already, it's basically just a test. Them using the pets for it, right? It says some RFID tags have a tiny battery or other power source, enabling them to operate at hundreds of meters, so they don't need to be within line of a sight or a reader. As far as we know, this type cannot yet be made small enough to embed in humans. Where so they're basically saying, oh, it's okay because the reader isn't able to travel far enough yet. But if I recall correctly, TfL had Wi-Fi installed underneath the tunnels, so now you can use your phone basically in the station when you go underground, right? So, you know, Esau's not stupid. He thought this out. He always does a very, very diligent search. It has the potential to change the very essence of what it is to be human. Gaston says it's not possible to interact in society today in any meaningful way without having a mobile phone. I think human implants will go along a similar route. It will be such a disadvantage not to have the implant that it will essentially not be optional, which means it's going to be compulsory, which means when they finally bring it out, they're going to make it as glamorous as possible so people willingly take it, and when there's a certain amount of people have taken the RFID chip, then they can start making it compulsory, and anyone who doesn't have the RFID chip will be classed as a terrorist. According to the Megiddo project. So Kevin Warwick, a professor of cybernetics at Reading University, has an electrical device in his body that interfaces with his nervous system, and had a simpler version implanted into the arm of his wife. Rudimentary signals between the two proved that purely electronic communication is possible between two human nervous systems. Right? RFID microchips are essentially a unique ID embedded in your body. Okay, it doesn't say hand specifically, it says in your body, so it means anywhere in the body. And as we know, numbers can be stolen and data can be hacked. Right? Which means that if you do have the chip, and if you start playing up, they can just wipe your bank account, because there's no cash anymore. It'll all be on the chip. Bringing one's external computer problems into the human body is fraught with dangers, he says. They point to an Uber surveillance society that is Big Brother on the inside looking up. Governments or large corporations would have the ability to track people's actions and movements, categorize them into different socio-economic, political, racial, religious, or consumer groups, and ultimately even control them. Right? Because if there's a certain group that Esau's trying to wipe out, and if they've got the chip, what you can do is you can just program the chip for them all to to go off the cliff, and they wouldn't even be able to question it, right? Because with the chip, you'd be able to change people's what is it? Their mindset, basically. In 2007, a company called Verichip injected 200 Alzheimer's patients, many of them incapacitated, with microchips linked to their healthcare records. The patients were supplied by a Florida nursing home that benefited from the company's sponsorship, right? Because their main, well, they test mainly when they used to be called Verichip. Who they used to mainly test on was health patients, like the elderly and those that suffered from Alzheimer's. Alright. It says here, Mexico's Attorney General and senior members of his staff have been implied with chips to give them access to secure areas of their headquarters, and the country's military and police are reportedly next in line for chipping. I remember this coming out in 2014. So goodness knows how many more they've got chipped over there already. It says here, Verichip distributor Solusat has already announced an agreement with Mexico's National Foundation for the Investigation of Lost and Kidnapped Children to promote the microchipping of the country's children. Alright? So those of you with children as well, you see what I'm saying? Esau trying to pull on everyone's heartstrings. Right? If you don't take this chip, you always hear about children going missing. Madeline and all that. So if you don't take it, that could be your child that goes missing next. Try and put fear into the parents. To see how the chips could help is uncertain, as they do not have GPS tracking technology. And that very sentence, I'll read it again. It says, how the chips could help is uncertain, as they do not have GPS tracking technology, which shows the main reason for the chip, the tracking technology. Okay, because without that, it's not useless, but the main purpose is kind of subsided, basically. Okay, that's what the chip is mainly for, to be able to track and control your entire movements. Right, the Verichip company has now changed its name under a barrage of negative publicity, and has emerged as a developer of what it calls biological detection systems. There's other companies are also marketing microchip implants, and their researchers are working hard to integrate them with GPS technology, right, which is the main purpose of the microchip. When they succeed, the products are forecast to gain a huge international market. Right? Because it is going to succeed, because this prophecy has to come to pass. Okay? Right, this is some people might remember Demolition Man, but there's a scene in there where he's scratching his hand, and they tell him that, after he'd been cryo-frozen, they'd applied a chip into his hand. Right? And that's predictive programming. Right? And that came out, this movie came out in 1993, and Esau, he had that technology back then, but even now Esau's implanting stuff in his flesh. This here is the Edomite that's implanted LED chips underneath his flesh, and they, so it's here basically. It's not a waiting game anymore. It's here. So gonna leave you with this one video. This one video shows an Edomite with a Flex NT NFC kind of strip. So whether it's a microchip or it's a strip, either way, it doesn't matter what shape or size or color it is. Okay, because Esau will do that. You change it up. You change up the shape to make it seem like I'll see. It's not a chip. It's a strip now. So to try and split hairs. It's the same thing. Regardless, it's the same punishment, whatever shape or color of the spectrum it is. Okay. Lord willing, this video has been edified. I'd like to say praise to Yahweh Shem Yahshua, and honors to the apostles of New York, and salutations to the Yakin and the elect. around the four corners.